Good evening. It is Monday, April 11th. This is the Guilford, Connecticut Board of Education. Thank you for joining us this evening. First order of business is a Pledge of Allegiance, so we certainly invite you to join us. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. All right. One request to my colleagues for easier minute taking. As we are preparing to vote on things and people make a motion, if you would, as you make a motion, raise your hand so Terry is not over there trying to guess which voice she is hearing. We'll help her out in that way. Secondly, just noting that we're not going to have a superintendent's report this evening. Dr. Freeman is not able to join us tonight. He successfully recovered from COVID, but it was his first day back today, and needed to go home and continue to rest. So we certainly hope he gets that rest this evening. And the last thing I'm going to ask to add an executive session tonight, which when I approved the agenda, I failed to do. Just to add an executive session for board self-evaluation, which we do periodically. So is there, can I ask for a motion to add? Thank you.
Second.
All right. All in favor of an executive session for board self-evaluation, which will happen at the end of the meeting?
Aye.
Aye. That is everyone. Okay, thank you very much. So first order of business is the March 14th regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
All right, can one of you be a second?
Second.
Kristen is a second, excellent. Any comments, corrections to these minutes? I have one on page 2, under communications. Mrs. Baldwin complimented the work of Guilford High School crossing guard George, is it Goulet? What is George's last name?
Goulet.
Okay, so it's a Beauvais in the minute, so I just wanted to correct that. I think it's Goulet. I'm getting a nod from Linda. Thank you, terrific. Any other corrections to these minutes? All right, hearing none, I have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the minutes from March 14th?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's everyone, thank you. Approval of the March 28th workshop meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? A second?
Second.
Any corrections to these minutes? All right, all in favor then?
Aye.
Aye. That's everyone. Terrific. All right, thank you. We are now up to public forum for topics on the board agenda only. Is there anyone who would like to address the board on topics on the agenda? Please feel free to come forward. All right, I am hearing none. So I'm going to turn to Mrs. Baldwin for review and approval of expenditures for the month of March.
Thank you very much. We did talk about this in operations. There wasn't a lot of note, nothing that really stood out, just a couple of different things. First, the total expenditures for the month of March were, I'm assuming, $4,771,057.61. It was 70% of the budget, and it does line up with the total expenditures of previous years. There were 2 expenditures that have been going on that are above 100%. Well, 3 things: professional and technical services, legal services, and I think it was custodial. In terms of the technology, I believe the only thing that we're waiting on is there is going to be a reimbursement for that. So we are waiting for that. That should bring that number down. In terms of legal services, it's just something that has been over budget for a couple of years. This year, it's going to be a little higher than in past years to be anticipated, and I know that we did address that. I think we did increase the line a little bit for next year, but it is still a significant portion. And in terms of custodial, again, some of that was done up front to then be reduced and backed out at the end of the year. So that should totally come into line at the end of the year. Dining services is doing good and is going to be able to reimburse the district for money that was put up front at the beginning of the year. The only really notable thing was in the warrants was an energy audit done at Adams, so I am looking forward to seeing what their proposals are, but it's more, I'm just interested to see how that would work, especially at Adams, since it probably needs a little bit better energy use there, so I'm looking forward to that. Those were kind of the things that stood out.
Excellent. Other comments, questions about the financials? Again, we just prior to this meeting had the Board of Ed Operations Committee meeting in which we talked about these more extensively, including details of the warrants. Any other comments? None. All right. Ms. Spalding, is that a motion to approve the March 2022 financial reports?
It is.
Is there a second?
Second.
Excellent. All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. That is everyone. Thank you. Okay. We are up to communications. Does anyone have communications to share at this time?
I do. I've received many emails and also some conversations in support of our social justice and equity work. And I was really, I was surprised at how many that I received. So I just want to share that with everyone.
All right. Thank you. Other? I think we received some questions prior to our meeting last Thursday about the mastery-based graduation requirement. And then the only other communication I wanted to note here is that a few members of the Board of Ed with Dr. Freeman a week ago Saturday held a informal discussion in this room from 10 to 12 for parents, community members to discuss the social justice and equity work going on in the school. It was an opportunity for parents and community members to ask us questions and the opportunity to discuss among each other. It was well attended. I'm terrible with numbers, maybe 30 people there. Is that a fair? Because we purposely only had a couple of board members there because if we have a quorum of the board at any time, it becomes an official board meeting. And we wanted this to be what we hoped was a more comfortable conversation for parents and community members. We expect to hold another one again because we thought it was a successful venture, and so we will keep people updated about when the next one is. You'll see different board members at different conversations again, so that we don't have a quorum, but so that everyone has an opportunity to participate. So I just did want to share that. All right, next item, student representatives. Thanks for being with us again this evening.
Sure. So at Adams Middle School, both 7th and 8th grade students have collected money, clothes, and other items to support people in Ukraine. And Adams had a wonderful turnout of items and will continue to help countless families. And this will help countless families. The 7th and 8th grade string players joined Baldwin and GHS string players and performed in the GHS gymnasium, as did the Adams students and band and orchestra as well. They also had the chance to perform with GHS Jazz Band and the Symphony Orchestra at Adams. It was a well-attended performance and wonderful. The Adams Unified Sports Team completed a successful season competing against Westbrook and Branford Middle Schools. Eighth graders have finished up their argumentative speeches in language arts, and spring sports are underway with baseball, softball, track, and field all competing. At AW Cox, as every month focuses on a different topic, this month they will be focusing on attention on perseverance. Each month, the students and staff engage in the various activities regarding those topics. Students were invited to perform in this year's AW Cox Variety Show, which takes place this week, and they are excited to see all of the talent that lies within our community.
I'm Melissa Jones. Melissa Jones had a kickoff for the annual Sarah Readathon, which is a fundraising event that is sponsored by the Guilford Education Association, which benefits Sarah's programs and services for people with developmental disabilities. It involves reading during a specific week and also collecting pledge money from sponsors for the pages that are read. Kindergarten students celebrated the end of their weather unit by hosting a weather expo. Each child chose a type of weather, dressed appropriately for it, and read a weather story to a second grade friend. At Baldwin Middle School, the science teachers have been approaching instruction through an inquiry lens. The 6th grade students have been working on a unit which explores how containers keep their contents warm or keep them cool. And as part of this unit on thermal energy transfer, students have been planning investigations to track the flow of matter and energy into or out of a cup system and revise their models to minimize energy transfer. This unit culminates with an engineering project inspired by the South African Penguin Nest Project, where students are tasked with designing a shelter to keep a penguin cool. Also in late March, Ms. Santoro's students embarked on an enrichment activity called Honoring and Celebrating Changemakers in Our Community. And the objective is to have students explore and get to know some of the achievements of those in our very own community, with a focus on women. As part of this enrichment unit, students participated in virtual visits from Kristen Song, Dr. Sarah Schellhorn, and Dr. Ann Keene. And this has been a very powerful and empowering experience for the students. As Baldwin begins the last quarter of the year, they're also beginning the process of planning the end of the year experiences and opportunities for students. The PTO is working closely with Baldwin on planning this. And in addition, they are working closely with elementary schools to schedule parent information sessions at Baldwin, as well as in-person visits by Mr. Hamill and school counselors for each 4th grade class as part of the grade 4 to 5 transition process. And lastly, at Guilford High School, the SpongeBob musical happened recently. The tickets sold out, and the theater department have many fantastic performances. Congratulations to all of the cast and crew involved. And spring sports are also underway at Guilford High School. This week, we will have a pep rally on Thursday, as well as spirit days preceding that, pajama days tomorrow, and hat day is on Wednesday, and then color wars, as well as the pep rally on Thursday. Thursday is also the last day before spring break, and the pep rally is featuring a student-teacher basketball game.
Excellent. I have to say, I had the opportunity, I think many of us had the opportunity to see the spring musical. And I am not only always impressed by the musical, but so thrilled at the number of students that are involved in set design and lighting. And I mean, to see all the students come out at the end, it's a remarkable rate of participation, I guess. I'm just so thrilled. So, excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And I
thank
will
you.
say to you what I say to everyone. You are welcome to stay. You are welcome to go. I'm sure you have other things you guys need to get done. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. As I noted, Dr. Freeman is not able to join us tonight, so we are going to put that on hold and go right to our board agenda. We have a number of business items to take care of tonight. The first is to act on a personnel item. So we are being asked to ratify the resignation of the following teachers. James Carlson, Guilford High School technology education teacher, 12 years of service in Guilford. And Jan Shames, Cox Elementary School music teacher, 38 years of service in Guilford. Remarkable, a huge, huge thank you to both of those people. Is there a motion to approve, to ratify the resignation of these two teachers?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is everyone. Okay, thank you. 9.2 is to act on a graduation date for the 2021-2022 school year. We did have some discussion about this at last month's meeting, but learned a couple of things since then. At that time, we were discussing the possibility of an earlier graduation date, but both because the state legislature is not going to be considering any waiving of the 180-day rule, and because we as a board can set a date and perchance have schools surpass that date following that time if there is a snow day, God forbid, after April 11th, or some other reason. But we must purposely, at the moment of voting, make sure that we do not choose a date prior to the last day of school. So I am going to ask for a motion from one of my colleagues to set the graduation date for the 2021-2022 school year for June 22nd, 2022. Is there a motion? So moved, Jen. Thank you. Second?
Second.
All right. Any conversation? All in favor? Aye. Is that everybody? Yes. All right. So graduation night will be June 22nd, 2022. For members of our community who have not ever been to a Guilford High School graduation, weather permitting, it is on. We've had some variation over the last few years with the pandemic, but it is on the Guilford Green, and it is a wonderful community event. All right, number 9.3 is to act on the healthy food certification. We have to vote on this every year. The healthy food certification, districts that participate in healthy food certification receive additional state funding to allow the Connecticut nutrition standards for all foods sold to students separately from reimbursable school meals, et cetera. This healthy food certification, which we participate in, identifies the appropriate sources and sale of food on school premises during the school day, and then does note for an exemption if we as a board choose to vote on that as well, for food and beverages occurring after the end of the school day or outside the school day. So events defined as an occurrence that involves something out of the school day might be a school dance or a family bingo night. I see that referenced here. Non-events are things that would be part of the school day, sports practice, play rehearsals, et cetera. We discussed this a little bit with our dining services director in our operations committee meeting, but I am going to read off the requirements for each of these votes. We're going to take 2 votes. And as Terry knows well, having done this with us before, the minutes will reflect word for word what I am about to read. So vote 1 is to continue with the healthy food certification program. Pursuant to Connecticut General Statute Section 10-215F, the Board of Education or governing authority certifies that all food items offered for sale to students in the schools under its jurisdiction and not exempted from the Connecticut nutrition standards published by the Connecticut State Department of Education will comply with the Connecticut nutrition standards during the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. This certification shall include all food offered for sale to students separately from reimbursable meals at all times and from all sources, including but not limited to school stores, vending machines, school cafeterias, culinary programs, and any fundraising activities on school premises sponsored by the school or non-school organizations and groups. Is there a motion to continue with the Healthy Food Certification Program and approve this language? Kristen Beck, so moved.
Second.
Moderator, second. Any questions or concerns about this? None. All right, all in favor? Aye, please? Okay, I've got it. All right, the second is vote number 2, continue exemptions for both foods and beverages. The Board of Education or governing authority will allow the sale to students of food items that do not meet the Connecticut nutrition standards and beverages not listed in Section 10221Q of the Connecticut General Statutes, provided that the following conditions are met. Number 1, the sale is in connection with an event occurring after the end of the regular school day or on the weekend. Number 2, the sale is in connection with an event, the sale is at the location of the event. Number 3, the food and beverage items are not sold from a vending machine or school store. An event is an occurrence that involves more than just a regularly scheduled practice, meeting, or extracurricular activity. For example, soccer games, school plays, and interscholastic debates are events, but soccer practices, play rehearsals, and debate team meetings are not. The regular school day is the period from midnight before to 30 minutes after the end of the official school day. Location means where the event is being held and must be the same place as the food and beverage sales. Is there a motion to approve, as I've just stated it, to continue exemptions for both foods and beverages?
Second.
Second. All right. All in favor? Aye. Okay, that is everyone. Thank you very much. And Terry, you said you have this language. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Item 9.4 is to consider and possibly act on the Slim Nation weight loss program for employees. This was a topic I think we discussed in the Operations Committee probably a couple of months ago. The town Board of Selectmen has considered this program as well. This is a program that would be offered to a group of employees. That group would simply be defined by interest to participate in a 6-month Slim Nation program at the cost of $550 per participant, which would be covered by the Medical Trust Fund. We did hear that the Board of Selectmen did approve offering this plan to town employees, limited to an enrollment of 20 employees. And we have it on our agenda tonight to consider doing something likewise, that we could offer this to a number of our employees, have it covered by the Medical Trust Fund. And I know we discussed this a little bit in the Operations Committee meeting, but is there a motion to offer this to a set number of Board of Education employees? And do we want to kind of discuss that first, or have someone make a motion and then discuss? You'll make a motion? Okay.
On motion to select a group of 20 individuals. We could use this as a pilot program, and if there's more interest after that, we could revisit it in 6 months.
I second.
You second that? Okay. More discussion? Again, I know we heard
Perhaps,
about it
yeah.
more in the Operations Committee meeting, but
Perhaps the 20s by a lottery, so that there's no, if there's more interest than that, we can accommodate 20 people just in a lottery kind of system, much like the town is going to do, I believe.
okay. And then I think what we discussed at the Operations Committee meeting is to see how this goes, right? To see what the interest is, and then could make a different determination. I'm sure much as the town is probably likely to do after this initial. So I have heard a motion and a second to offer to Board of Education employees up to 20 the opportunity to participate in the 6 months Slim Nation program at the cost of $550 per participant, that cost being covered by the Medical Trust Fund. Does that
That's correct.
represent that motion and that second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is that everybody? Okay, excellent. That is a unanimous vote. Number 9.5 is to receive the annual audit report. Mrs. Trudeau spent time in our operations committee walking through the audit report. This is an audit report done for both the town and for the Board of Education. I am going to invite her to correct me if I misspeak. Would you mind coming up just in case? But the message is a terrific one, as it often has been every year, and it is a great, great credit to Mrs. Trudeau, our business manager, and her staff, that the Board of Education has received a clean audit, that there were no concerns noted in the audit itself. Am I, Mr. Bowden, missing anything? Poor Mrs. Trudeau, I'm making her walk up, and she's going to get up here, and then I may have not much else to ask her. Mrs. Trudeau, is there anything you wanted to add just about these audit reports?
Well, these audit reports, again, are done in conjunction with the town. It's the annual audit. They are a clean audit, which is something that we've become accustomed to here. It's not necessarily always the case, but it's a very good report. It shows a very strong financial position for the town, which will favor us going forward with bonding and notes. So it's a very good report for us. It also shows some of the COVID relief fund grants through the federal audit that we have. And there were no findings or any concerns in how those funds were spent by the town or by the Board of Ed, which is also very good news.
Excellent. Again, we did discuss this a little bit more in our operations committee meeting. Prior to this, did anyone else have comments or thoughts or?
I just want to echo the sentiment that you shared, that the success of this audit is your hard work.
I agree.
Thank
So
you.
much of
It's-
what
You're
you
here.
It's a team effort. I have a very good staff of people behind me who also help make it very successful.
Those audits could get messy, so.
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you.
And just kind of re-emphasize what you said. We've gotten very used to this, which is also great credit to you and your staff.
Thank you.
But it is not what happens necessarily to other organizations or institutions. So really grateful for your hard work, your dedication, your commitment to keeping track of all of our finances so thoroughly and appropriately.
And I believe these are on the town's website if anyone in the public is interested in reading large volume
A large
material.
audit report. That's right. Thank you so
You're
so
welcome.
very much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, we have a number of donations that we get to approve, which is always wonderful. The first is to approve a $6,672 donation from Netminders Booster Club for 2 assistant boys lacrosse coaching salaries. Is there a motion to approve this donation?
So moved.
Second?
Second, excellent. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? No. All right. The second is to approve $3,336 from the Girls High School, GHS Girls Lacrosse Booster Club for 1 assistant girls lacrosse coaching salary. Is there approval for this donation, a vote to approve this donation?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions or opposition? No, okay. Next, to approve $3,336 from the GHS Baseball Booster Club for one assistant baseball coaching salary. Is there a motion to approve this donation? So moved.
Second.
Christie, thank you. Noel, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Is that everyone? Yes, okay. Terrific. Excellent. I am now going to turn to the policy committee. We have a couple of policies to act on tonight.
Okay, so these are the policies that we reviewed in our last formal meeting, so about a month ago. And these are policies that will allow students to have two kind of mental health days that will not count against, it won't count as an absence. So they'll be able to call out, or a parent can call them out for any reason. They can go to Six Flags. They can do whatever they need to do to just kind of give themselves a mental break. And this is in keeping with the new state statute. So this is really just something that we are doing in accordance with the state's changes. And both of these policies are fairly similar. So I would like to make a motion that we accept policy number 5118. Do I need to do them separately, or can we do them
Yeah,
together?
I think we do it separately,
Okay.
right? So policy 5118, attendance and excuses, there is a high school, there is a motion.
Second.
Is there a second? Second. Mr. Bowden, is there anything to add? Mrs. Peck has.
I'll just note with these two policy changes that this is not just for this year, it's for years moving forward. The intent of the new legislation is to acknowledge that our students go through a lot in any given year, and they may need extra time for time off away from school. So it is beyond the current school year.
Okay.
And they're meant to be singular, not consecutive, correct? The 2 days?
That is correct, yep.
Is it at all retroactive in any way? If it's so much, what I'm saying is if a child is in trouble, or maybe if the parents come and say, look, we had an absence, but it was really a mental health day on October 22nd.
Yeah, they can discuss that with the administrator, but I'm sure that would be something that would be taken into account, absolutely.
And is this, I notice here we have on the agenda, policy 5118. Looks like there's a policy and a regulation here, is that right? Do we need to do both? Or am I?
Yeah, there are two items.
We need to do both. Okay. So we have a motion and a second to approve the policy. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's everyone, okay. Can I have a motion for the regulation that goes with this, 5118?
So moved.
5122.
No,
5122.
there's I'm sorry, so we have, it looks like we have a policy and a regulation for 5118, and then a policy and a regulation for 5112. So we have voted on the policy, and now I'm asking for a motion for the regulation accompanying it, 5118.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that was everyone, thank you. All right, now, thank you, Kristen. We are being asked to act on policy 5122, attendance and truancy. Is this covered by, so this is just an accompanying policy and regulation
Yes.
related to that? Excellent. Super. Okay, so can I have a motion to approve policy 5122?
So moved.
So moved. Arnold, thank you.
Second.
Moira, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that was everyone. And then may I have a motion to approve the accompanying regulation 5122, attendance and truancy, grades K through 8?
So moved.
So moved, Noel. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent.
Getting it done.
Getting it done, that's right. Okay, 9.10 is to act on textbook calculus for the AP course. This was a receive item last month. As usual, it has been at Lathrop House for anyone who wanted to look through the text a little bit further. And then tonight, we are being asked to act on the purchase of this textbook. So may I have a motion to act on the textbook calculus for the AP course?
So moved.
So moved. Thank you, Dick.
Second.
Second, Noel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everyone, all righty. Okay, we are now up to item number 10 on the agenda, reports of committees. Policy committee, is there anything you want to add?
There's not anything to add. We have a meeting in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Operations committee, John, is there anything you wanted to add?
You know, we covered a lot today. I think the one item worth continuing to discuss is that the federal and state reimbursement for school lunch is going away. So we want to encourage every family who's eligible for discounted or free lunch to make sure they apply so they could be eligible come the start of the new year.
Excellent, thank you, yes. Curriculum, instruction, and assessment committee, is there a report?
The committee met Thursday of last week, specifically about the mastery requirement from the state. We heard from staff and superintendent that planning continues on that. The flexibility that many parents are asking for in terms of independent study or alternative ways of meeting that is now part of the planning, and that the attempt to make optimal use of the 2.4 faculty members that we've now got into the budget, assuming the referendum passes, is to staff the coverage of approximately 600 students that will come under this. And that we'll continue to hear, we'll hear further updates between now and the summer or thereafter as they get ready for the fall.
Excellent, thank you. Liaisons to town committees, are there any reports from anyone who's on a town
No
committee?
update from land acquisition?
No, others? All right, and then liaison to Learn Board of Directors.
Our meeting is
The
Thursday.
meeting Thursday, right. We always time it this way, pretty much,
We've
right?
been doing well, though, all year.
I
This
know,
is our
that's
first
right.
one that
That's
we're
right.
reversed on.
So Mrs. Peck attends the Learn Board of Directors meeting every month, which is a terrific commitment on her part, but they do tend to meet right after we do, so. Great. We are now up to item number 11, public questions. This is an opportunity if anyone from the public wants to address the board or has a question for the board, you're certainly welcome to come to the podium. We simply ask you to give your name and address and keep it to 4 minutes. Is there anyone who wanted to address the board this evening? All right.
No,
Oh, there is. Oh, I'm sorry.
Should we time it?
Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Matthew Guarneri. I am a teacher in the Guilford Public Schools district, but I'm here speaking as an individual, only for myself. For the past 2 Board of Education meetings, I've spoken about the change to the school calendar, putting Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples' Day on the same day. In prior meetings, I asked which Italian-American organizations you spoke to, and I still don't have an answer to that question. Which experts you've spoken to about the issue. This is a big deal for not only Italian-Americans, but all Americans. As president of the Italian-American Defense League, I've reached out to a number of individuals, not just Italian-Americans. And one of the groups that I reached out to is the Native American Guardians Association. And I asked them, do you want Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples' Day celebrated on the same day? And this is what the Native American Guardians Association wrote to me on October 9th, 2021. Dear Mr. Guarneri, on behalf of our national organization, we support your proposal to maintain the current Columbus Day holiday and designate another day to celebrate Indigenous Peoples' Day. We believe that all races and historic figures should be celebrated for their contributions to our nation. Regards, Tony Henson, President. So again, I'm asking the board, can you explain to the public how you made this decision to put Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples' Day on the same day on the school calendar?
I can certainly give a quick answer to that. The calendar was brought to the Board of Education in November, I think our November meeting. And we did not discuss at that meeting any of the holidays that were marked. We spent time discussing start dates and end dates, when Labor Day falls. So that was the entire focus of our conversation. Though it is noted that that the holiday for for the 2022-2023 calendar had Columbus Day / Indigenous Peoples' Day noted. I will say that the administration put that down following President Biden's proclamation this past fall to identify that date also as Indigenous Peoples' Day. And the administration put it on, much like they do other holidays, not because we expect everyone to celebrate every holiday on the calendar, but to note that some people may be celebrating Indigenous Peoples' Day, while others may be identifying that day as Columbus Day. So that is the reason that that came about. Again, I'm going to note that when the calendar was presented to the board, we were focusing on dates and numbers and had no discussion about the holiday. So I hope that answers your question and the source of it. It was purely to recognize something that President Biden had identified this past fall and to note it on the calendar.
To give both groups their respect and what they deserve. Putting them both on the same day takes away from each group's holiday. That's one of the reasons why Tony Henson shares in our viewpoint. Let me give you this example. Why would you want to be defined by somebody else's holiday? Columbus Day has no significance to all of the different Native American cultures other than being the anti-Columbus holiday. And I don't know why I wouldn't want my holiday to be the anti-something holiday.
Okay,
And
well,
there,
thank
and,
you for
and
sharing.
there are, and would you be willing to further the discussion? Because you just said there wasn't a discussion that shows due diligence. It seems it was put there with good intentions, but it also seems like there could be a more respectful and unifying solution.
Okay,
Would
well,
you
we
be-
can certainly we can certainly, we hear your opinion and we can certainly take that into consideration.
Would you put it on a future agenda so there could be public discussion?
I will talk to the administration and we will consider that request, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who'd like to?
Brian Wiley, 69 Davis
Here.
Drive. I'll actually ask my question fairly briefly. It's about the MBDA state mandate, which doesn't require a full semester of in-class work, as we've discussed and learned, I think. And from what we've learned in research, none of our peer schools in Connecticut are doing it that way. Some are interested or curious in what we're doing, and that's great. They should be. So my simple question is, and I understand I probably won't get an answer, but which of the members of the board here at this point think that it's wise to take out a full semester of junior and senior year, or half of each, to provide the opportunity for fulfilling the MBDA requirement in extensive and formalized way?
So I'm going to let you know that this is not an item that is up for a board vote. This is an item that.
Understand that.
Right, that the administration brought to us, that we asked the administration during the budget process of considering FTEs to provide us more detail. We're hearing from a number of parents at the high school in particular who were looking for more information and in particular wanted to ask for kind of an alternative option to the in-classroom. The administration was very accommodating both for our request for this additional meeting, which Dr. Hirsch noted happened last Thursday at the Curriculum Instruction Assessment Committee, as well as accommodating then parents who were and students who were interested in an independent option. I am not going to ask the board to answer your question because this is something that we as a board are not going to be voting on at this point. It's not an appropriate thing for us to vote on. It is the administration's decision with our input to decide on.
Thank you.
But you're
Yeah.
aware it will be offered as an independent study?
I'm aware that that's currently under consideration, subject to ongoing discourse and review on further reports over the course of the spring and the summer, which may or may not end up heading
It
in
is
that
my
direction.
understanding,
Yeah.
no, it is my understanding, as we were told last Thursday, that indeed,
That's part of the plan.
there will be
Great.
an independent study option for students to meet this requirement.
That's
Yes.
very, very good to hear.
Yes, absolutely.
And as a side note, I was confused about that because one of the points that was raised by staff, staff administration anyway, was that there had been an independent option, but it had, forgot quite the terminology, it had not gone well, that a large percentage of the students hadn't fulfilled the criteria.
That's exactly right.
And two things that occurred to me when I heard that were, one, the criteria are set by the school. The state does not set the criteria. The state says you must have a credit qualifying requirement. And each school district decides what that is.
Right.
And number two, I remembered the observation made in a prior meeting that the structure was not the issue, it was implementation. And I couldn't help thinking that that should also be applied to the independent option.
Well, and again, the high school administration and staff has received feedback, is taking it very seriously, has talked to students who have gone through the program. Please remember that we have not even had 1 year experience with this program yet. There is a lot to learn. The administration seems very open to learning it. So what we see next year may be adapted further once we go through that experience. The comment about independent study in this first year was that by the end of the first semester, I won't get the percentages right, but the vast majority, I believe it was only over 90% of the students who had taken the course had completed the semester-long process, and only 18% who had done the independent study had. So there was some concern that an independent study would be very hard for most students to carry on top of a full caseload, but that option is being given to any student who wishes it moving forward.
Super.
Okay.
And hopefully with the same support and implementation.
Excellent,
That's-
yes,
that's great.
absolutely.
Thank
All
you
right.
all, and
Thank
again, y'all are underpaid.
Okay. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to address the board at all?
Hi.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name's Christine Ford. I'm on Graves Avenue, and I'm here tonight on behalf of ABAR to clarify what ABAR is, what we do, just after a comment that was made at the last meeting. The ABAR committees within Guilford Public Schools are made up of parent and teacher volunteers, and they're organized as committees under each elementary school's PTO. We're not part of a national organization, and we have no political ambitions or affiliations. ABAR stands for anti-bias, anti-racist, although we're certainly not focused only on race. We chose the name ABAR because it was a framework already in use in early childhood education, specifically by NIAC, the National Association of Education for Young Children, and Montessori schools across the country. Our work aims to create a more inclusive educational culture for our kids. We know that through many bodies of research, an inclusive culture will better prepare all children of any background for their future. Our priorities are to increase representation of everyone, race, class, gender, ability, religion, you name it. To build an awareness of bias, since we all have some, and to prompt conversations by sharing resources with families. For example, this month we just recently shared some resources about Autism Awareness Month, so parents and caregivers can have those conversations at home. We believe in self-love, embracing and celebrating differences, identifying unfairness, and empowering students to advocate for themselves and others. Again, these are skills that all kids will need to be successful in life after Guilford. I encourage anyone interested in learning more about ABAR to visit our website. It's guilfordctabar.com, and to join us for an open meeting next month. Parents and caregivers can also address questions to their school's ABAR committees if they wish, and get involved too. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Yes. Hi, welcome.
Rachel Daniels, 55 Talcott Road. I'd like to thank Dr. Freeman for addressing the recent incident of anti-Semitism at Guilford Public Schools. Like many, I was appalled that this took place in our school. I appreciate him reaching out to speak to the school community about this, as it affects all of us. I also applaud his decision to reach out to Rabbi Moss at Temple Beth Tikva for his support. Dr. Freeman and I had an email exchange about hate speech in our schools earlier last week. Back in the fall, my daughter Maya and a friend saw a swastika in the bathroom at Baldwin. They spoke about their experience here at a Board of Education meeting. Myself and 2 other parents had a meeting with Dr. Harrison to discuss this incident and other instances of hate speech in Guilford Public Schools. The meeting with Dr. Harrison focused on what sort of protocols in place, if any, for children who witness or are exposed in some way to hate speech. He was unaware of the incident, which surprised me, and he was going to meet with Dr. Freeman and get back to us. He did not, and when I reached out again a month later, he still did not respond. After seeing there was a meeting for those who identified as marginalized groups to share their experiences, I emailed Dr. Harrison again along with Dr. Freeman. I expressed my disappointment that I had shared my experiences and I did not receive a reply. I asked for clarity on the purpose of that meeting. Dr. Freeman replied, Rachel, our intention for this meeting is to listen. Listening is the first step to action. He went on to say, to date, the protocol we have followed for instances that have involved racially or otherwise charged language has been the same as we have followed in other disciplinary situations. And I understand that you are all listening, but I am asking you all again to prioritize this work. Every day that goes by while you are busy listening, there are children who are being treated as though their experience with hate speech is the same as any other disciplinary situation. The email response to me didn't address why I never heard back from the equity liaison, and I have still yet to receive an email from him. Last night in the email to the district, parents and guardians were asked to do a very hard thing. Dr. Freeman invited all of us to discuss this incident with our children. So with my 14, 12, 8, and 6-year-old Jewish children, I discussed how someone chose to wear a gas mask at school and threatened to harm Jewish people. I hope you can take a minute to imagine what that looks like. Dr. Freeman asked to be held accountable. I'm going to ask you all again to please put this work first, give it the attention it deserves, develop procedures and protocols specific to hateful language and actions at Guilford Public Schools. When I told my kids about the gas mask, they didn't ask if anyone was listening, they asked what was going to be done.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is really, really important work. It is, I'm just getting acknowledged that Dr. Harrison and Dr. Freeman continue to prioritize this work. it's taking some time. One of the things we want to do, among the things we want to do is provide teachers who are interested with training in holding difficult conversations. So we're thinking about things from a professional development standpoint. We're continuing to have discussions. As you can imagine, there are things that the administration hears about and is able to address right away. But one of the reasons we wanted to hire a family equity liaison, and one of the reasons Dr. Harrison is with us, is to start identifying ways to approach these issues in a more systemic way. So that is work that we are definitely committed to. So I appreciate you kind of supporting that, and we are going to continue to try to prioritize that. Anybody else who wants to address us tonight? Thank you.
Hi, my name's Nan Ellman. I have a junior at Guilford High School and 2 Guilford High School graduates. I was unable to come to the recent question and answer about the equity and social justice in our schools, but I did read the report on school culture and pedagogy, and it's clear from the interviews there, not to mention the incident that was just discussed, that Guilford schools need to continue and continually work on equity, social justice, and inclusion, and actually specifically dealing with hate speech and not in generalities. And I'm afraid after that, this is going to be a very general statement. But because we remember last fall the outrageous statement that making some children feel they belong somehow hurts other children. But in fact, helping children feel welcome helps all children, because they realize then that their belonging is not contingent on their physical ability or their intellectual ability, their heritage, or their identity. And belonging isn't a zero-sum game. Making some people belong doesn't make other people less belong. And this is public education. By definition, it has to be inclusive. Our children spend so much time of their lives in school, and it's really critical that they feel safe there. Not just because of their, oh, for Christ's sake, I'm sorry. My son should be getting some medication right now. Hopefully he is. Not just for their emotional well-being, which is very important, because it also makes them ready to learn and able to learn if they're not overly stressed by what's going on around them. And they're learning not just academics, but one of the important skills they are learning is to learn to be with people who are different than they are or have different ideas than they are. And that's a very important part of their education. Right now, schools in some states are being told that they can't even acknowledge marginalized identities or some aspects of the history, as if just recognizing these things is somehow dangerous. My child is already anxious about what would happen if that got traction in Connecticut, particularly given the increased harassment that has followed some of these efforts. We can't let that happen. We really need to continue our work on equity, diversity, inclusion to meet the needs of our students. We have to set an example for our community, for our country, and most importantly, for our students, because that they learn from us first. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi there, I'm Jennifer Scoggin at 325 Old Sachems Head Road. I'd like to say something myself, but then I also have a statement that I'd like to read on behalf of someone else. Is that okay, or I can just pass it on to the board? Okay. My first statement is of course, I'm always in big support of this work and all that has gone along with it on behalf of the board, particularly looking at Dr. Seiler's work, looking at the curricular audit in grades 7 through 12. I am curious and would like to urge the board to consider what might happen if we were to extend that audit and our gaze down to look at K through 6 as well. And I'm curious if that could be something that is put on an upcoming agenda for discussion amongst the board to see what we can do to move forward, because I understand that while he has his report and we have to take time to process and listen and then action follows, I'd like to see that process started at the K through 6 level. And so I I don't know, it was like a plea to put that on something upcoming. And now I'm going to read something from Lauren Dennehy. I'm going to read it from her and then paraphrase it, and then can I just hand it to Jen for everyone to have?
Sure.
Does that work? Okay, so this is on behalf of Lauren Dennehy. She is 7 Hampton Court. I'm sorry I'm unable to attend tonight's meeting, but wanted to convey a few thoughts in my absence. I'm grateful to the district's ongoing efforts to create a greater sense of safety and security for all students. I'd like to raise to the board a specific concern related to the rise of hate speech and discrimination. For some unclear reasons, incidences of hate speech are continuing also in our elementary schools. However, there remains no school-wide intervention related to the insidious impact these comments have not only on the victim, but the bystanders. She writes, our best shot is to shape children to be emotionally healthy as adolescents is doing it from the beginning. It's much easier to create strong foundations than to repair broken ones. I and some other parents have met with members of the administration to consider these needs since the fall and await responses and next steps. We ask the board to continue the good work underway and to not forget the youngest students under your care, and to perhaps share with us at a future board meeting how the administration, in concert with our equity liaison, Dr. Harrison, is working to improve these issues in our district in a timely fashion. Our youngest children can't afford to have the adults avoid or takes weeks and months and years debating the needs much longer. It is my 4th year, Lauren, in the district. My oldest is now 9. I'm feeling impatient, and I know many other families are too. Thank you for your time. And I believe Lauren's ultimate goal is to have some policies revisited by the policy committee or whoever be relevant to how these incidences are addressed, what is considered to be an incident of hate speech, and then what happens to the children who are witnesses to this. I'm going to pass this to Jen because there's more specific information there for you to review.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? Yes. Good evening.
Hello. My name is Larry Rizzolo, 24 Long Hill Farm. And thank you for this opportunity to speak. Thank you for all you do, and especially this equity and diversity curriculum. I want to emphasize, I want to reframe the question just a little bit to support what was just said by the last several speakers, but to put it in a different context. No one wants to be bullied or wants their children to be bullied. And I don't think any of us want our child to be the bully. So how do we do this proactively? Okay. One of the greatest values, foundational values of this country is freedom of speech. But freedom of speech means other people have speech that might make you feel uncomfortable, other speech that might challenge your worldview. And so the schools, in its efforts to create a safe environment, is not to silo and protect students from speech that might make them uncomfortable. In fact, it should be encouraged. When we think of the public school, the space of the public school is today. Tomorrow, it's the public square. So how do we prepare our students for that? Back in the day, teacher development, professional development was, I'm going to go to night school, I'm going to take some extra credits, maybe work to a master's degree, I'll be recognized with a higher pay scale, that kind of thing. But, and I'm not knocking that, but we need more in this context because it's more difficult. You can't go to night school and learn how to manage a conversation. Encourage your students to speak up. Encourage the student that feels uncomfortable to speak because they might be challenged. How to create that safe space has to be done in the context. And so I very much appreciate the salary lines that you have for coaches. I very much appreciate the social worker and the liaison, parent liaison worker, because all of these need to work together as a team to accomplish this. Consider all the letters that you got a few years ago from all those students who said they weren't prepared when they left here to go to the public square. And I'm going to suggest that one of the problems was that this diversity curriculum is not real to them. It's not part of their everyday life. They're not being challenged in real issues that are real to them. Bullying, some of the things we just heard, hate speech, is that. But certainly we have a lot of other things going on in town. June 1st, we have to submit a plan for affordable housing. And what happens if some of those residents are people of color or people of lower class that come into our town? How does that work? Housing reform is in front of the state legislature. Police reform was recently put forward. There are a lot of issues that I'm wondering how they might be incorporated into the curriculum. Not to add to curriculum, that's, God knows you're not going to do that. But in the context of the existing curriculum, current literature that you're reading, can you relate it to these current situations? And can you foster in the classroom discussion people taking views that maybe violate the worldview of another student? Because it's important to be able to have those kinds of conversations in a civil way. Because, as I said, today it's the public school, tomorrow it's the public square. And I think everyone can agree, conversation in the public square is pretty divisive, and it's not the thing that we want our students to do. It has to be practiced. And so the curriculum has to be designed that it's practiced. And so I'm hoping that everyone here will go out and vote tomorrow, vote for the budget, and if anything, double down on this kind of work, because I think it's central. Teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic in this context is very simple. Doing what I'm asking to do, encouraging you to keep doing and developing, is a heavier lift. And I hope you continue to support your teachers so that they can do it.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, good evening.
Hello, I'm Christine Doko. I live at 23 Mill Road. Different topic here. I just wanted to thank the board for the special meeting that took place last Thursday on mastery-based diploma assessment. I also want to thank the administrators who took part and were so generous with their time and insights. I appreciated hearing more about the goals of the MBDA classes and understand better why we're going beyond the statute and doing more than other schools are doing. I also appreciate that parent and student feedback about flexibility has been taken into account. The independent study option being open to all is a big step toward the flexibility that parents asked for. It's a great step. And what was even better is that the administration is setting students up to succeed with this independent study option. I heard great language about flexibility in teacher schedules, shifting them a little bit later so students can meet with teachers after school. And I heard things about rubrics and guidelines that will be really, really helpful for these students. So that is really much appreciated. I agree that the goals of the classes can be very helpful to students. And I do just want to underscore that there is a cost to achieving those goals that's currently being borne by the students. And that cost is, for the ones taking the class, either losing electives in study halls, and in study halls, translate that to sleep. And for students who are doing the independent project, that is, of course, extra work outside of school. And extra work is something that everyone wants to avoid at this point, parents, administrators, the board, everyone. I continue to think that we can do more to lessen the cost to students by, for example, trying to achieve the goals in one semester, for example. And another way might be to build opportunities for reflection into electives. And that would give students the space and time to practice those skills and refine them, but also encourage them to explore. And a good byproduct of that would be supporting enrollment in electives, because I'm concerned that a lot of interesting electives will be negatively impacted because students won't have room to take them. And I hope we don't lose those electives as a result. So I wanted to thank you again for hearing our concerns. And I look forward to hearing about how the courses and options continue to evolve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wants to address the board tonight? Going once? I just want to make sure I don't miss anyone. All right, I'm not seeing anyone else. Thank you for joining us this evening. We're coming to the end of the meeting. We, the board, still have an executive session. But we will, when we come out of that executive session, we will not be taking any votes or holding any further discussion. We will simply be adjourning for the evening. I am going to ask for a motion to go into executive session.
So moved. Second.
Second, all right, all in favor? Aye. Aye. All right, so thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Hope you have a good rest of your week. See you.